Hello, Mark.
Hi, Zaki. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. How are you? You okay? Thank you for
Excellent.
jumping on this. Where are you calling from?
In North Warwickshire.
North Warwickshire. Fantastic. It's really interesting. Um, what it is, great to meet you. Before we dive in, hear how our call will go. We'll start with your background and the industry trend you are seeing currently. Then we will discuss your current challenges which you are currently facing and where you want to be in next 6 to 12 months. Finally, we will wrap up by exploring any next step if it makes sense. The whole conversation will take between 30 to 40 minutes. Does that sound good for you?
Sure, sure.
Fantastic. Can you please share about yourself, about your role, how it fits into the bigger picture of your company?
Sure, yeah. Well, so my name's Mark Ironson, and I started in property about, now 96. An old soldier, did 12 years in the army, got out, got, a regular job, and I did up a property. I bought a 4-bed detached house, and I refurbed that, and I bought it for 64,000. And when it was finished, about 12 weeks later, it was still only worth 64,000, and I'd spent 12 grand on it. And so the first one I did completely wrong. Just, it was your first one, right? So then I managed to get out of that one by swapping it for 2 houses, 2 new builds by Barratt. And so now I had 2 houses, and I rented one out and then lived in the other one. And weirdly enough, I thought, this is making it, because the rent I was bringing in was more than the mortgage, so I was making a little bit of profit. And then I bought my friend's house. He lived about 3 streets away. He got into financial trouble a bit, and then I bought his house off him, so I had another one. So now I've got 3. And then an estate agent friend of mine said, hang on, I've got just a house for you. It's a HMO. It's a big Victorian house, 6 bedrooms. It's a bit of a wreck, but I think it'll suit you as a project. And I bought that one. So I had this 6-bedroom house. I put 8 tenants in it because I had 2 reception rooms downstairs. And I was living the life of Riley. I was in corporate life with a full-time job, company car, secretary, all that sort of stuff. And I had this HMO effect. I didn't know it was called a HMO back then, but I had a HMO, paying the rent, paying the bills, 28, 29 years old? Wonderful, wonderful thing. So property caught my eye and grabbed me, it got me, and I thought I could do this instead of the corporate job. So me and the missus sat down in a coffee shop, and she said, you're actually making more in the property world than you are as your hobby than you are in your job. So why not quit the job and just do it properly? So we set off on a kind of, I suppose, a journey of, we were finding deals, and we couldn't buy everything, right? So I was giving deals away to some old landlords in the pub I used to meet on a Thursday night for a game of pool, and one of them said you could charge for these. So I thought, what do you mean charge for them? He said, well, I'd have given you 500 quid for this lead. And so I thought, wow. I said, well, give us 500 quid. Then he said, no, I've got it now. I'm not giving it now. So the following year, in fact, we set up a deal packaging business. So now we find deals for investors, put them into reasonable rental properties. We keep them close. We keep them quite close to the business. We look after them through progression, so they get the property, and then we find them a tenant, and we manage any works that needs doing. Every couple of years, they come back and buy another one off us, and that's just spiraled ever since, about the early 2000s, I think, that we started that. And so now we were finding deals for investors and packaging them up and obviously charging them as well. And then I thought, well, hang on, I can teach other people to do this. So I started a coaching business about 15 years ago. And first of all, I was bouncing on stage selling courses and stuff like that. And then I thought that doesn't really work, because if you sat in a classroom and there's 100 people, you give them loads of information, you give them the best content and stuff you can, the best value, but they go away and do nothing because you can't support them when they get stuck later on, And so I thought, well, I'll quit that and I'll just do one-to-one. So now I take on one-to-one clients. I've got, 289 clients, I think. And they stay with me for life. We don't get rid of them. We support them through a couple of deals, make sure they've made some money, kept them safe if they've got some money to start with, get them deals if they don't know how to do it, and guide them through the whole process of marketing the deals, selling the deals, meeting investors, talking to investors, and making money. We're all about making money, right? So we've done that ever since, and we're still doing it now. It's blooming glorious, absolutely glorious.
And what does a typical deal look like for you?
Well, I stick to the small stuff, so I get quite a few. When I get an inquiry in, I've quite often got someone who wants to do development or build, or buy big blocks and stuff like that. But what I do then is do a bit of discovery and find out where they are on the journey. So inevitably they've been on a property course or they've been on a webinar or something like that, and they know a little bit about the industry. And the development maybe doesn't fit with where they are at the time because they've only just got their own house. And most of my clients are middle-aged, kind of middle managers, quite mature, some professionals, quite smart people in their field. And a big block isn't for them at all. It's a little house. So a deal for us is cheapy 2-bedroom terraced Victorian house to get a young tenant in, a young couple, both working, vetted quite tightly, and then keep them, keep the landlord safe, when he's got his property. We find him the letting agent as well to make sure that the inspections are done every quarter and the gas certs are done, the electric certs are done in the house. So it's they have a good experience with the first property because I know in 2 years' time, when the property's grown in value, they'll come back and buy another one. So I want to keep them having, not a pleasurable experience, but, a satisfying journey as a landlord rather than get into heaps of trouble and end up in court and try and get rid of horrible tenants. And so little houses where we're at, we do flats as well, but little houses, little 2-bed rolling terraces is our kind of.
Okay. And industry trends, what major shifts are you seeing in your industry right now?
Well, one major shift, which is our shift, we did it, is I used to do flips because flips work. And for those that don't know what a flip is when you buy a property, you add some sell it for more money. And that they do work, don't get me wrong, they do work, but they're very slow because it takes you 3 months to get into a property, into a purchase. It takes you 3 months to do the work, and then it takes 3 months to get out. So you'd have to do 2 at once to make a living out of it. And we discovered this in about 2003 or 2004. We switched from doing flips to doing what's called assisted sales. An assisted sale is where you don't buy the property because we don't need to buy it. What we're going to do is agree a strike price on contract, so it's on paper, of a price that they want or they accept. And then we do the work and then we sell it. So we've only got one sale. We haven't got 2 sales, so we're not buying and selling. We're just controlling and selling.
It will save you. Sorry for taking your word. Is it saving you on stamp duty and legal everything? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. So I'll give you an example of a deal. This is a nice deal. It's one of mine. I met Paul and Sharon in West Bromwich, which is about 20 miles from me, and they've got an inherited house from Sharon's mum, who's passed away. She hadn't been upstairs in 20 years, so the house was a bit of a mess. And they live in their own house, so this is an empty house, and they were clearing up when we did the viewing. So I walked around the house, totted up all the work I had to do, and then I was sat in the living room window, and it was up for 79 at the agents. And I said, so have you had any offers so far? And Sharon said, yeah, we've had an offer at 55 by one of these fast sale companies, and we turned that down. I said, you're probably right to turn that down. It's worth more than that. So she said, what are you going to offer me then? And I said, well, if I have to buy it, then I'd probably offer 55, the same as them, because I'm a trader. I've got to make some money on it. But let me run a crazy idea by you. If we agree a strike price of 79, which is what you're after, I do the work on the property, and then I sell it to the retail market. If I sell it for more, then that's my profit. They ask the normal questions like, is it legal? Can you nick my money? Can you nick my house? All this sort of thing. And of course I can't because I'll never see the money. It's always their money. It's totally legal, so we do it on contract. Anyway, she signed a contract, gave me a set of keys. We got the boys in to do the work, and it cost us about $7,500 to do the work. It was a kind of minor refurb. We put it on the market and we sold it in week 2 for 133.
Brilliant. Fantastic.
Very good.
How has the current trend impacted your business or growth strategy?
Well, we thought if you've got 3 arms to the business, so our 3 arms, they kind of ebb and flow throughout different cycles, economic cycles. We've got 3 arms. So we find deals for investors, and we've got loads of kind of middle-aged, mid-level executives and professionals and stuff to sell deals to. So that's one part of the business. Another part of the business is doing our own refurbs and assisted sales. But I do 5 a year, end up keeping one of them because one of them's a great deal, so I'll keep it. But actually selling 4 of them, so the profit from the 4 gets me to buy the 1. It makes enough profit to buy 1. And we add that to the portfolio. And then I've got a coaching business that coaches other people to do exactly the same thing. So we've got 3 different arms to the business to make sure that we're not affected by economic cycles, because if the property market starts to dip, which it did during the cost of living crisis, people stop buying and stuff, then we can focus on the coaching or we can focus on the flips.
And what is it currently working for you and what is being frustrating?
Well, frustrating is the Renters Reform Bill, I guess. That's a frustrating. That's just come out. Yeah, so that's a frustration. But governments apply regulation, and initial regulation is normally quite harsh. And we find that in every industry, that it kicks the amateurs out, the amateurs sort of disappear, the pros keep on going, and people have been telling me for the last 27 years that the property market's dead. And I carry on doing it. Someone said today, oh, the prices are getting lower in London and stuff. No, they're not at all. That's in your head. It's
Yeah.
what the agent's saying because he hasn't made a sale that week or in his little mini circle. But property goes up in value. Otherwise, none of us would be in it. You know, it's an asset. So, and it pays your rent along the way. So you don't actually make a loss unless you do something silly, you know.
Mhm.
So a frustration is the Renters Reform Bill, but it's just a bit of regulation we'll have to deal with. We decided the weird thing was a frustration last year is that the chatter was that the EPCs would have to go from an E to a C.
Mhm.
And that was a bit stressy because I've got all old properties. All my property is Victorian. And of course, they're all E's.
Yes.
And do I get rid of them all and sell them, or do I spend £12,000 per property to insulate them and, you know, put the external wall insulation or the internal stuff in? And I thought, nah, I'd rather sell than insulate them all because it would take me ages to get the money back.
Okay, so so this is the frustrating bit. And what is it working well for you right now?
What's working is talking to people and making calls. And because you never know where the next bit of business is going to come from. It could be from a networking meeting where we've met somebody. It could be from an email reply. It could be from because they've been on the list for a little while, so we give them a call, a little gentle nudge, and ask them how they're doing. And you never know what piece of business can come from that. They've either got a property they want to get out of, which we can help them with. They've got a property that they want to buy, which they want help finding. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they said, and she gave all of these fancy words and fancy development, you know, figures and formulas. And I said, look, how much money have you brought in your business this year? And she started to step back a little bit then, and she didn't want to answer me. So I said, okay, I'll ask you a different question. How much have you paid yourself from your business this year? And she says, well, I'll have to tot up the figures. Well, that's not a business person. I know instantly, day by day, what I'm bringing in. So I pushed her a little bit, and she said, it turns out it's less than 20 grand. 20 grand in a year she's brought in profit. So they're our type of client that we want to help because no one deserves or should be living on 20 grand a year.
So which metrics are you focused on improving?
Number of calls, number of people we speak to. We've got to speak to 30 people a day.
Mhm.
And you have to in business or else you're not making money.
And where do you want to be in 6 to 12 months from now?
6 months to 12 months. I think I'll be doing exactly what I'm doing now. I don't need to grow the business and take over the world. I'm quite happy doing it. We decided quite a long time ago, I've got two daughters, so we decided a while ago that we want to live a life how we want to live. We don't do traffic. We don't do rush hour. Entrepreneurs get out of the treadmill because they don't want to do traffic, so I don't do traffic. I work from home, so does my partner. We both work for the business. We've got the kids into a house each, which was the aim of the business to begin with. You know, they're in their 20s now. Life's brilliant. Life's good. So if it's working and you're enjoying it, and it's a good time to be alive, so why change it?
If you had a magic wand to fix just one thing in your business that's holding you back or slowing you down, what would that one thing be?
I think people should answer their phones. That's a bit of a bugbear of mine because people's phone discipline is really poor, really poor. And I mean, I use the phone every day, all day. So I suppose you get used to, you know, how to use it, I guess. But people don't. People don't answer the phones, therefore they miss opportunities. They're missing, I mean, if they're looking at the screen and try and do business on their screens, that doesn't work. The mobile phone is a toy. PC is a business you know, a business tool, whereas a phone is a bit of a toy. People try to start businesses on their phones. It's actually incredibly hard. So answer the phone. Just answer the phone. Whoever's calling, answer the phone because you never know what's around the corner.
Thank you so much, Mark, for your time today. This is the podcast I can send you over. Thank you for your time today. Have a
you're very
great day. I
Yep.
will send you over this one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. And
superb.
stay in touch. Thank you.
Yeah, will do. Take care.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
You too.